So, Pokemon Legends ZA was revealed back in the beginning of this year, and since then, we've heard nothing. Like, nothing at all. Which I do think is a good thing, because it means that Pokemon might finally be taking some of our criticisms to heart and taking more time with these games. And since we've gotten no news whatsoever since ZA's reveal, that leads me more to believe it's going to be coming out at the earliest summer of 2025, which makes it even more likely that Generation 10 isn't going to come out till 2026 for Pokemon's 30th anniversary, which is the best case scenario. I want all the Pokemon games to be really good and really solid, so them finally looking at that I think is awesome. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This video has nothing to do with Generation 10 or Pokemon's problems and their crappy release schedule. This is about Pokemon Legends ZA, because I want to finally sit down and talk about this game. I haven't really talked about ZA since it was revealed, and honestly, I don't know why. I think it's because I've been so focused on other projects, but today I decided to just come on here and talk about my hopes in a discussion unscripted video. So today I'm going to be giving you guys some of my expectations and some of my hopes for Pokemon Legends ZA. Some of them are going to be kind of realistic, some I think are kind of out there, but I hope you'll stick with me and listen all the way through. So let's get into it. Number one, and this is probably my most outlandish one, is instead of taking place in the past, I want Pokemon Legends ZA to take place in the future. Think like Midgar from Final Fantasy VII, that type of setting, like dystopian, sci-fi, hyper-technologically advanced kind of society. I think that would be the coolest setting ever for a Pokemon game. I think there's so much potential there with not only level design, how you can encounter Pokemon, just the overall world. I think it would be really interesting, and you could totally justify it in the story, either by, I don't know, like it just being the future, it being a paradox world, it being a bad future, and the whole plot of the game is you going into the future to find the person who caused it to be like this and fix the timeline. I don't know, there's a lot you could do there. It's Pokemon, you could basically make up any story ever. So there's a lot of potential there, and I think just having that sort of setting in the game would be really awesome. My second hope is new Mega Evolutions. Now, I think this is easily the most realistic one. I mean, they're bringing back Mega Evolutions, so I'm hoping they add some new ones in here too. I mean, the last time Mega Evolutions were brought back was Let's Go, and we got no new Mega Evolutions, so hopefully this time we get some new Mega Evolutions, especially for Pokemon who didn't get them back in X and Y and ORAS, and for Pokemon that came after Generation 6. I know there's a lot of Gen 7, 8, and 9 mons who could really benefit from a Mega Evolution, and for the love of God, just give the Kalos starters Mega Evolutions. They definitely deserve them. They were robbed of them in the original release of X and Y. Give the Kalos starters some Mega Evolutions. I think that would be awesome. Honestly, I'd be perfectly fine with them just using the Kalos starters for ZA, but then you get Mega Evolutions. It's kind of like the Hisuian forms, but obviously in a different sort of way. My third wish is a difficulty mode. I don't think this is very hard to implement into the game itself. They've done it before with Black and White 2, they can do it again now. Honestly, it just opens up the game for a lot more audiences. If someone finds the game to be too easy, just put it in hard mode. They find it to be too hard, put it in easy mode. It brings a lot more players to Pokemon, and it's really just a nice quality of life improvement, and it's not hard to implement whatsoever. Just put it in there. I think that would be great for Pokemon. So yeah, just add a difficulty mode. It's really not that hard. Number 4, I want more detailed side quests. Now, let me explain a bit what I mean here. Pokemon Legends Arceus had side quests, but they were really bare bone. And then in Scarlet and Violet, we went back to having basically no side quests. There were very few. So I'm hoping that in Pokemon Legends ZA, we get a bit more side content overall. I mean, look at games like Tears of the Kingdom or Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Those games have very intricate side stories that last for multiple different quests. These quest lines are realistic in not only the confines of the world, but also increase your immersion and playtime within the game. Think about it this way, if the game takes place in Lumio City, you want that city to feel alive and lived it. So the best way to do that is for you to help people out in the city. And by having these quest lines, it will not only make the world feel bigger, but it will also increase the runtime of the game. Obviously, when you're making a game like Pokemon, you want people to keep coming back to the game, and in such a different game like ZA, the game might not have that same replay appeal that other games do. So how do you fix that? You make the game more compacted and more dense with side content and side adventures and side characters that you will be missing if you don't do it during the main story. And by having that much side content in the game, it allows for a lot more replayability and also is just really fun. And this leads me into my next hope. I want some sort of mini-game system. I mean, look at Scarlet and Violet. We had a couple mini-games like that one in Kitakami, and then obviously flying around with Miraidon in Blueberry Academy. So you could definitely add in some more mini-games, and that also leans more into the side content. I think mini-games would be awesome. It's just something fun, nothing big for the game, but I think it would be a nice welcome addition, especially in a game like Legends, where you kind of have the ability to just do whatever you want. My next hope, and this is pretty self-explanatory, I really want them to go back to the gameplay style of Legends Arceus, which I definitely think they're doing because it's also a Legends game, but Scarlet and Violet didn't have the fluid gameplay of Legends Arceus, and that's because they were developed at the same time. So I definitely think bringing back like Pokemon picking up items for you, rolling around, being able to catch Pokemon in the overworld without having to initiate a battle, the fluid transitions between battle and encountering a Pokemon, like Pokemon like coming after you and trying to kill you and you dying basically. I think that would be awesome. I really enjoyed it. That was the part of Legends Arceus that I thought was the best. The gameplay was fluid. So bringing that back for another Legends game is absolutely on the top of my priorities for Pokemon. I think that gameplay should be what we should be using for the series going forth, Legends or otherwise. So yeah, definitely make sure that gameplay comes back, which also leans into the boss fights. Pokemon Legends Arceus had some really cool boss fights against the noble Pokemon, and I think there is so much you can do to improve those bosses and make them even better. I mean, there's so much you could do with those bosses. You can make them more fluid, more fun, more engaging, but I definitely think making those boss fights was awesome because it was something new, something we had never seen in the Pokemon series, and to get those back is also really cool. And the chance that they could be Mega Evolution fights too, that's awesome. Like, there's so much there. There's so much potential, and I really hope Pokemon realizes what they have and uses it to their fullest. Another hope I have, and it's kind of a small hope, but trainer customization. Scarlet and Violet had no trainer customization, which was really stupid because it made you feel less like you were on an adventure and more like you were playing as someone. So just bring back trainer customization like you've had in Legends and Sword and Shield and every game since Generation 6 with the exception of Oras. Just bring back trainer customization, it definitely helps. There's no reason why it shouldn't be in the game, especially since Kalos was the one that started it and has probably the most intricate trainer customization in the series. So yeah, definitely bring that back. That is super important to have, especially for a Kalos game. And finally, my last hope for Pokemon Legends ZA is a more complex story. Now, Pokemon has never been known for its storytelling, but there have been opportunities for Pokemon to tell more advanced stories. I mean, look at Generation 5 and Generation 7, and even a bit of Generation 9. You can see Pokemon is starting to experiment with their storytelling, and I think Legends ZA is the perfect opportunity to do that. Now, Legends Arceus didn't really have a super amazing story. I mean, it was fine, but really the only thing that really caught people's attention was Volo and Giratina, and that was more from a gameplay aspect, and more of the idea, and not more so the execution. So I think that going into ZA, there's a lot of opportunity to make this game the best story in Pokemon. I mean, look at Kalos, look at its lore. There's so much we don't know. We should learn more about the ancient Kalosian War, more about Kalos' creation, Xerneas, Yveltal, Zygarde, Volcanion, Hoopa, like Diancie, like whatever. There's so much there to do, and especially if you go back into the past, you can relate it back to AZ and the Ultimate Weapon, and then there's also the A in the ZA. What does that stand for? Is that a new Pokemon? Is there stuff to Kalos' lore we know nothing about? I think there's just There's so much there to explore and you can do with it, and you can create complex characters and stories, and I'm not asking for like a 10 out of 10 narrative. It's Pokemon, it's never gonna be that, but there is definitely improvement there that you can do, and I hope they take that initiative, especially since Legends is this new series. It's really unprecedented at this point, and they can basically do whatever they want. With that said, that's all my hopes for Pokemon Legends ZA. I'd love to hear what you guys think about my hopes in the comments below, and I'd love to hear what you guys want from this game as well. With that being said, to enjoy even more high quality Pokemon content, check out the videos on screen right now.